Because sometimes we can be at the house of mercy and at the house of outpouring, where there's healing for whatever we need, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. The healing is there, yet our own tactics keep us just out of reach. You can come to church every Sunday, you can read your Bibles, you can interact with God, you can pray with Him, and yet our own tactics, our own walls, our own defenses that we use with man, we use with God. And so some of us can't get our healing because we haven't released those walls. We haven't truly surrendered ourselves to Him and allowed Him to do whatever He plans to do with us. That's another sermon for a different day. But the sick man was at the pool of Bethesda, and there was a lot of people there. There was a multitude of people who were sick and lame and hurt and withered. And that struck me because I don't know how many of you always seem to be drawn to you someone who's sick or hurt or withered or lame or going through some things. And you tend to wonder, God, do I just attract some weird people? Is it like, should I just be like keeping a long arm to these people? And God is saying, no, sometimes I use you as the house of outpouring. Sometimes I use you as the house of mercy. The church is not this infrastructure. The church is us. And so if you find yourself, and there's multitudes of people being drawn to you, texting you, calling, why does everybody always call me when they need something? Why does everybody always text me when they need a word of encouragement? Because you are who God is using in that season to give that person what they need to get better. And if you're a Christian, then you should be excited about that. And so they're here at this pool of Bethesda, and in certain seasons, an angel of the Lord would come down and stir the waters, and whoever was first in would be healed. And so the man has been sitting there for 38 years with the same condition, and Jesus walks up and sees him lying there, knowing that he had been a long time in that condition, and says to him, do you wish to get well? And it struck me because the first question I have for you this morning is, if Jesus walked up to you where you're seated, what condition have you been in for a long time? If he walked up to you, what would he say? Because he makes it very specific. He saw the man lying there in that condition. What have you been circling around for a long time? And this is not just a Sunday morning question. I don't want you to just think about this and be like, oh, it's this. No, this is a question that you have to be before him, praying and seeking and searching, because sometimes our patterns and habits are subconscious. We don't even know that we're doing the things that we're doing. We just see, well, I can't maintain a relationship. Something got to be wrong with everybody else. Or I keep getting fired from jobs. It's always my boss or supervisor's fault. Or I can't seem to connect with my children. Or, there's something wrong in my marriage. It must be my spouse's fault. And so sometimes our patterns and our behaviors they're so subconscious, they happen just without us thinking, that you have to sometimes self-reflect and think, if Jesus walked up on me right now, what would he say was my condition? And it's usually the very thing that we're afraid to admit, whether it's low self-esteem or doubt or hurt or pride or just an inability to connect, whether it's a physical ailment, a mental, a spiritual, emotional ailment. If Jesus walked up into you right now, where have you been circling for a long time? And so Jesus walks up to the man, he sees that he's sick, he knows that he's sick, and he asks him what I thought was kind of a silly question. And I thought Jesus was just kind of being petty, because if you know that I'm sick and I've been here for 38 years, why would you walk up to me and say, well, do you want to get better? What do you mean, do I want to get better? I've been sitting here at this pool, and I can't seem to make things happen, and I'm sick and tired of being in the same situation year after year after year. I'm sick and tired of circling back to this thing year after year after year. What do you mean, do I want to feel better? What do you mean, do I want to get well? And so I begin to ask Jesus, well, are you just being funny here, or is there a specific reason why you asked this question? And God said to me, well, why would you ask somebody this question? And as I begin to think about it, I begin to think that sometimes our actions don't reflect our desires. Sometimes we say, well, I want to get better. I want to get well. I want things to be different. I want things to be better. And yet the things that we do don't seem to really reflect that desire. And so the second question that I would ask you this morning is, do your current pattern of behaviors support your desire for change? Again, this is not a Sunday morning answer it quickly type of question. This is a question where you have to be in prayer, where you have to be meditating, where you really have to take an evaluation of your life and say, this is what I've been asking for. This is what I want to change. Do my current behaviors really support this desire for change? Because sometimes we know the issue, and if you know the issue, that's fine and dandy, but what are you doing about it? If you know you have anger issues, what are you doing about it? If you know you're a sucky friend, what are you doing about it? If you know that there are certain things that you need to get done to get to where God needs you to be and walking in your purpose, well, what are you doing about it? Because some of us are tired of hearing you talk about it.